Hey there, Quality of Lifers. I am Reagan Boggs. I am a certified professional coach, and we are continuing the series of untangling that knot in your chest, getting just a little bit happier. Clients come to me in my coaching sessions and they want to be happier, but they don't even know where to start. And the words are always, I just feel like I have this knot in my chest. This weight, this heaviness, this elephant is just sitting on my chest, and I don't know even where to begin to be happy because I don't even feel at peace. So this is the purpose of this series, and in part one, we talked about what are you tolerating? Taking an inventory of all of the things where you are mentally saying it is what it is, it just has to go on. So I asked you to proactively look at those things, and were there ways that you could reduce some of those? Were there some conversations that you could have? Were there some situations that you could just no longer put yourself in? People maybe you can avoid. What are the ways that you can reduce some of the things that you feel like you are tolerating? And I'm not talking about, just minimal stuff. You think that you get so good, and we are all so good at justifying whatever it is just to keep the peace, just to keep things moving, just to keep making progress. And we don't ever really think that we have choices in that. And sometimes we may not. But again, please look at those things and see if there are ways that you can reduce the numbers, because they add up. All these little things are like putting money in your piggy bank. Eventually it's going to get heavy, and you're going to have to do some house cleaning. And one of the things that you've got to do is reduce the amount of things that you are tolerating that are just making you feel resentful, that are making you feel just a lot of things, helpless, hopeless, that, you take all that home with you, you take it to work with you, you carry that baggage everywhere you go, and you can't be the person that you're naturally going to be if you're carrying all that weight of tolerating things that are not things that you should be tolerating. In part two, we talked about taking an inventory of the things that you love to do, the things that give you energy, the things that fuel you and not suck you dry of all of your energy and want to and drive. And all the way back in time, I said, let's go back and let's look at some of the things that really brought you alive. And even if you couldn't recreate those exactly, what were the attributes about those things that made them light you up? What was it? And see if there are ways that you can adapt and bring those qualities back into your life now. Part three, we talked about your habits, the bad habits, good habits you'd like to bring back in your life. And we also talked about how realistic it is to actually get a habit automatically into your life in 21 days. And it's not the case. We talked about Sherry Ricard in her book, Strong Women, where she says, no, it's more like 66 days it actually takes to form a habit. And in some cases, depending on who you are and the circumstances, it could take anywhere from 2 months to 8 months to form a new habit. So don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself time to build these habits, because you are making yourself miserable by doing some of the things that you know you need to stop. And you know that you could improve things if you could just add a few little things, make a few little changes, if you could just stick with them. So, part four, today. I'm a computer programmer, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm a little bit of a geek sometimes, but I'm going to be talking about the if-then-else statement that you code daily in your brain, and that is to say, if you do this, then it means that, otherwise it means this. So, an example. Say your husband comes in and you have asked him for 3 weeks to make a phone call to, I don't know, maybe get your brakes checked on your car. You're real busy and you've not had a chance, and maybe he understands that stuff better than you do, and he hasn't done it yet. So you say, well, in your head you're saying, I've asked him so many times. So if he hasn't done that, then he must not really care about me. I must not be important enough to him. If he can't do that, then, otherwise, if he loved me, if then else, he would have done that by now. Maybe he's just a forgetful person. Maybe he's just had a lot on his plate. Maybe, you could just ask again, or maybe call yourself. So please be very careful of the if, then, else statements that you are coding in your brain, because sometimes you don't have all the information and you are making some really bad assumptions and filling in a lot of details with information that you think could be, but aren't necessarily. So be careful of that, because you hold resentment in toward people. You hold resentment in toward a lot of folks that you interact with by filling in the details when you don't have them all. And gosh, I am guilty of this as anyone, and we do it. It's just, if we don't know, well, then probably we're automatically going to assume the worst. and I don't know why that is true. I'm sure there's a lot of really good scientific data to back up why that's the case. But, one of my big pet peeves is if someone don't follow through with what they say they're going to do, then I feel like, well, if, that's, my time is valuable. And if they don't respect my time, then they must not respect me. And, that is something that I have to work on myself, and something I have done this same exercise in the past, and I've had to say, well, is that really true? And you have to do that, because you're holding resentment, and you're kind of, when you feel hard at someone, then you can't be yourself. You can't be open. You can't be fun. You can't be playful. You feel stifled. And that kind of plays into part of that lights. I talked about your Christmas lights being tangled up in your chest. If you're tolerating stuff, if you're not adding things in your life that bring you joy, if you have a ton of bad habits and you are beating yourself up because you're trying to introduce good habits and they're not sticking because you're not giving yourself enough time, and then you're also writing these if then else statements in your head about why and what other people think and what their actions mean, then you can see how all of these things together, and why I have broken them apart into this series the way that I have, is slowly pulling a thread loose and unwinding some stuff. So, okay, I've got this strand kind of good that way, and then, okay, let's grab this part and wind this stuff back around, and you're slowly untangling that part that is just driving you crazy, and you can't be happy when you're not able to look at yourself and identify the things that are preventing it. So there you go. There's part number 4. And we're going to do one more part in this series, and I look forward to hearing if you are trying any of these steps, if you are seeing a difference at all. Please comment down below. Comment down below on some things that have worked for you. Maybe if you have tried this, or maybe you're trying something different. I would love to hear how you are going about adding just a little bit more happiness, because that's what we want to do. Because once you start adding little bits of happiness back in your life, you are going to be experiencing happiness now, today, because so many of us want to put that off until later. Oh, when I get a promotion, or oh, when I pay my car off, I can be happy, I can breathe, when I meet this guy, when I get married, when I have a kid, when we're putting off our happiness. And you got to hit it directly where it starts, right here. Other people don't make you happy. You make yourself happy. And you have to know better to do better. And in this case, you got to know yourself, people, because we're not guaranteed another day here. And you have to take action now. You have to do this now, because, someday may not come. As morbid as that sounds, someday may not come. Stop putting it off. Do it now. Start following some of these steps. Y'all have a great day.